has a problem in Iran with the Iranian war, and this could be the road to escalation. He's caught between a rock and a hard place because his rock is that, on one hand, of course, he claims he's winning. We've already won this war. But if he puts troops on the ground, he faces problems at home because this war is not popular, and over 72% of the people do not want boots in the ground. Also, however, on the other side, due to the problems with the Strait of Hormuz, he's got another problem. The economic issues around the world are getting bad fast, and that puts another pressure on him that gives the same kind of result. So he's got himself in a dilemma here, a dilemma with no easy solution. And right now, it looks like the solution may be mission creep, putting boots on the ground, because they have taken a Marine Corps unit out of, I believe it's Okinawa, Japan, and they're moving this units to actually to Iran, including an assault ship. Basically, it's kind of like an aircraft carrier, but it's for Marine Corps assault. And this is one of the elite full organization Marine units that's capable of totally supporting themselves. Now, some sources say he's going to put 5,000 troops in action. Some say 2,500 if he commits them to being on the ground. Now, that's not a given yet, but it certainly looks like it's heading that way. Now, on the other side of the equation, Iran's just come out and says, well, we're only stopping Israeli and U.S. ships, which is kind of interesting because U.S. really don't depend directly on the Strait of Hormuz anymore, because we're actually now an oil exporting nation. So there's some things here that aren't adding up between what Iran's saying and what's happening to the world economy right now. So I think, both sides may be talking out of both sides of the mouth. This is the fog of war. But this is getting us into a very slippery slope. And there's some other dimensions that could take us further down that slippery slope very fast. So, hey, I'm sure you're all seeing it today. You're all paying for it. You're all having to buy gasoline, and you're seeing other prices go up. For myself, gasoline at the nearest place I buy it was something on the order of, I think, $2.74 a gallon, and I went by there today and it was $3.89. So what's that? $1.15 per gallon increase in just a few days. And even other stuff. I like to buy for my chickens. I like to buy greens. I go to the grocery store and I buy them spinach, and the spinach was $1.78 a pack for a fair sized pack. I was able to get spinach fairly cheap. It was $2.08. It went up significantly, just greens. So you can expect everything up. Grocery prices are going up, but that's just the immediate sources of increase. What we're going to see is longer term pressures to drive prices up the longer this lasts, and that's going to cause an big economic issue that they're not going to like. Nobody's going to like it. I don't like it. Nobody else is going to like it. So where does this all lead from here? I mean, look at this. We've got a lot of the basic elements that make fertilizer, like for instance, sulfur and other components that come through the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm not buying it's just U.S. and Israeli ships are being stopped, but definitely we've seen some Chinese ships get through. So we thought all the time this was going to put pressure on China. Maybe not so much. So there's a lot of questions that are out there right now that are plaguing us in this regard. So what's Trump going to do? How's he going to resolve this? Will there be a false flag to drive us into a bigger operation here? Because I've tried to paint the big picture. I've tried to show you guys the entirety of this without any justification, just to tell you what's at play, just to give you the basic what ifs. I did the video asking, was this inevitable? Was a question. I've done some of the tit for tat, what's going on over there. I've talked about how the war ends. And basically, how the war ends is unless we put boots on the ground. And I'm not calling for that. Don't get me on that regard, because I had a lot of reservations about this from the get-go, because we're expending all our munitions we need to face our biggest adversary in the world, which this could go down soon, and that is China. We have in a couple of weeks already expended more of the large high-tech interceptor missiles than we can make in a year. And we're still doing it. In fact, we're pulling systems out of South Korea this to defend South Korea against North Korea. And I'm sure the South Koreans are going, well, what happens now? And then that could encourage North Korea to say, hey, we got an opportunity here. The United States is highly distracted, and South Korea is much less defended. And this kind of logic may play into Taiwan. You got to remember, just next month, 3 weeks or so from now, the sea states tend to calm down over there in the Strait of Taiwan. It makes that the opportune time for the Chinese to act. And if they act now, where are we at? Well, we're all wrapped up in Iran, and our munitions are low. I was kind of skeptical when we were playing whack-a-mole with the Houthis. And that's really what we're doing with Iran today. I mean, no matter how many times you blasted the Houthis, they kept popping up again and firing missiles in the Red Sea for a long time. So we got something similar to that with Iran today. Iran's got a whole lot more missiles than the Houthis did. Everything the Houthis had came from Iran, and the tunnel systems in Iran are much more extensive for hiding stuff. And it's not really the missiles that are the biggest problem. It's the drones. The Shahed 136S drone, particularly the one that loiters. That one is a very formidable drone, as we know. It has an operational, combat range of almost 1,000 miles, guys. And so this idea that we can just send some troops in and take the shoreline around the Strait of Hormuz, that's probably not going to work by itself, because if they can launch drones from farther inland, they could still hit ships in the Strait of Hormuz. That's a lot of range. Are you going to take 1,000 miles? That's a very large force to do that. And I don't see that happening. Not as things are currently aligned. It don't mean it won't come to pass. My basic premise, I had a hard time imagining we were going to put boots on the ground there in any large numbers. Now, this is for large numbers of a full-fledged invasion. It could be the beginnings of it. It's a slippery slope. So it's just something to think about here. We're not in a good situation any way you slice it or dice it in terms of the economy. Now, you can look at it from another angle, though. Maybe they kind of wanted the economy to get in a situation like this and wanted an excuse for it to happen. Why? Because they'd already advertised to us that the only way to handle our federal deficit was to kick up inflation. But, think about this. This is something I haven't heard anybody else come at it from this angle. What if this is, the way to artificially and create that inflation and blame it on somebody else? Oh, it's their fault. It's their fault. And suddenly the inflation's up, and they were planning to do this all along just because we get this ginormous federal debt. And I've talked about that in the past, and I've even showed you that some of the insiders were saying, well, we're going to have to increase inflation. We're going to have to inflate and devalue the dollar very significantly. So how does that impact you? Well, we're going to go on more into this war stuff, but just while we're on that topic, how does that impact you as the citizen, the prepper? Well, it means if you're living on a fixed income, you're going to be hurting. And a lot of people, a lot of my wads are retired. A lot of us are retired. And that's going to be tough. I'm not retired yet, but I'm going to have the urge of it. And I'm trying to get myself set up where I can live on a small fixed income. And it gets to be more difficult. Well, you need to be self-reliant as much as you can. If you can grow your own food, produce your own energy, like I'm living off grid, I'm trying to isolate myself from some of those economic impacts as much as I can. That's what I'm working on right now. I'm trying to expand my garden and make it more effective and more efficient than it was last year. I'm taking big steps in that direction. But, you got to think about it, guys. This whole thing, really bites. It really hurts. And, maybe having some other backup forms of income, which I'm also working on that, which, are maybe products that can go up as other things go up. Fixed incomes don't. Even salaries are slow to catch up with inflation. It may take a year or two in some cases, unless you get in a Weimar Republic situation where they up your salary twice a day. Pitiful. So, there could be some other impacts of this. If you're invested, it might be that your debt will be eroded away. If you've got a lot of debt, you might see that go, the net value. I mean, the dollars will still be there. You'll still owe the same amount of money, but effectively, virtually, it'd be almost like you owe less because it's going to be worthless. But if you're attached to credit cards and other variable rate uh, mechanism, you might see those rates go up. Now, Trump had talked about trying to freeze that kind of stuff. Will he freeze it? Can he freeze it? The jury's out on a lot of people. Oh, no, don't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's the bankers talking. I don't know. The bankers have sure made a fortune off people charging the kind of high interest rates they're charging. LOCC. So, guys, there's just a whole lot of things cooking right now that you need to start preparing for because this stuff's happening. It's going down. Things are moving and they're moving fast. And it don't mean that we can't have strikes. I'm going to talk about strikes on the homeland. And there's a couple angles why we're not seeing big things happen yet and why it might get worse later, including the pronouncement, a statement by none other than Mujtaba Khamenei, the new supreme leader of Iran. So we're going to talk about that too. So we got several angles to look at here. We got a lot of ground to cover. But I'm trying to paint the big picture, and we're going to talk more big picture stuff going forward. I'm trying to connect dots that a lot of people don't connect. That's what I excel at. And what I've told you guys is that barring us going in a major way that could actually take out the RGC, and that's not again, if we go in boots in the ground, we might, because of lack of political support here at home, go, oh, this is costing us too much. Let's get the heck out to declare the victory and win. We may do that now. That could happen. If we can do anything to cut down the stuff shooting through the Strait of Hormuz or find some other way to mitigate it, Trump just cut a deal with Putin to take the sanctions off him so that suddenly more petroleum would be flowing to the market. So I'm sure the Iranians really love that, but the Iranians are supplying drone interceptors to the United States. We're now going to get 10,000 drone interceptors, battle-proven drone interceptors, a whole lot cheaper than THAADs and Patriot missiles, vastly cheaper from Ukraine. Now, one thing that drone warfare has proven that our defense industry hasn't caught on to yet or don't want to because they like to get a lot of money in their pockets is that it's the cheaper weapons that are now the force multipliers on the battlefield. And that's coming through the drone angle. Cheaper weapons because they have far more effectivity for price. Hey, we got a super chat. Thank you, C5. C5, I appreciate you very much. So salute to you. She's actually been here to my place. She is a local friend. All righty. I didn't want to name you because your name wasn't appearing in your in your moniker. Eddie's does. So Eddie, Bohai, and Carrie. So thank you, Carrie. Appreciate that. So now I know it's okay to use your name in here. Some people don't want their name broadcast. So salute to you both. All right, guys. So, whether you're for the war or against the war, or at this point in the matter, you're still going to pay the cost. It's the egg is broke and you're going to deal with it. So the question is what happens going forward? Like I said, I asked the question, was it inevitable? Well, now that's kind of a moot point. What is important is we're in it. So what now? What now? Are we going in full force? Are we going to have a false flag that to perpetrate to get us really into it in a big way? I don't know. I hope not that. But we got a neighbor in there. He's got a channel, desert farming or something, high desert farming or something like off-grid desert farming, I believe is the name. Another couple. They actually live, I'm told, really close to here. I haven't met them yet, but they were talking about, it just so happens that there's this big, tall bank building in Los Angeles that our good old buddy Larry Silverstein bought. You remember him? Larry Silverstein? I didn't name him. I'm naming him because I know who he is. You remember, he's the guy that bought all those buildings at the World Trade Center complex just right before Bang Bang. Now, he just bought a big bank in LA. So you don't think, some people say, oh, this drone stuff is this talking about the West Coast, nothing's going to happen. Well, we don't know that. And it may not be the Iranians. This could be the setup for something else. Being known, though, that the FBI actually did release that warning to the local police, not the public, local police in there. And it slipped out, after the war started. But then they disavowed it. They said the sources weren't verified. That was the cause of the disavowing of the alert. Well, they didn't say it was an alert. They just said that the sources weren't verified. So it wasn't. So, they didn't say it was dubious. They just said the sources weren't verified and supposedly withdrew it. There's something cooking that, we don't know yet. But to say that the Iranians couldn't do it, I showed in the video the other day how they actually technically can. The Shahed 136 series drones can be launched on the back of a pickup truck. And I showed several of them mounted in basically a little transfer truck, smaller urban cargo trucks, like the one that hit me when I was driving my gold van and totaled me. Those things are rear-ended me and made me go and run into a telephone pole. That was no fun. So, yeah, I think the driver was doing this. That's my humble opinion. But anyway, I digress. So let's get back into the main topic here. The main topic is that we got stuff coming at us, and we just got to, as preppers, we've got to be prepared for it as citizens. And if you're not a prepper, you need to wake up and become one. And a big part of prepping is growing your own food. There's a lot of advantages to that. It can control some of your costs if you get your techniques down pat. If you're buying everything in the store, you're not really a prepper gardener. Most people think they are, but they're not. Because when the grid goes down, you're not going to the store anymore. You need to learn how to be self-sustaining in your garden. You need to buy heirloom seeds and be able to put food up or grow things that last a long time. That was my approach with the Three Sisters stuff. I got spaghetti squash. It's still fresh that I grew last summer. And, we're reaching the point where stuff will start growing again. So and I didn't even put them in my root cellar. I'm building a big root cellar, by the way. So to give me a little added advantage, I'm talking about stuff that was outside in my battery room, which did suffer some temperatures and stuff that's been probably kept too warm here in the house. That stuff is still good. It's lasted. Those spaghetti squash and acorn squash have lasted. The pumpkins I had, a couple of them getting really soft. They became chicken feed. But one of them was still real nice. I gave it to some friends out here, and I just tell them, please save the seeds. So these are things you got to, I'm giving you practical advice right here. Things you need to do to mitigate the cost of food, shortages that may come up, because food prices are going up. There is no doubt about it. Now, I've just seen it. Like I said, I just walked in the store and bought spinach that I like to feed my chickens, and it was $1.78 a pack. If you're just joining now, it's $2.08 a pack. It's a fair increase. So gasoline's going up, everything's up. But that price increase, it wasn't contingent on what we're going to see because of a lack of fertilizers. Now, the way I've taught to grow in my older videos when I started this channel, I don't ever use any chemical fertilizers ever. You don't have to. Compost, my friends, compost. Feed your crops naturally. You can do it. I've done it for years and produced a lot of stuff. Of course, I've used worms for my added advantage. And I've got worms. I got worms. But anyway, all that said, I'm really trying to give you guys good practical tips here. How's your soil fertility issues going? Well, I have found a way around it. I have dug 3-foot deep trenches. I've filled the bottom of them about 18 inches high and wood chips, and I have found a really dark black straight mulch here. It took me a year to find one I was hunting for. I'm not using horse manure at all. I'm not using any manure because I ran into problems. They got too much grazon in manure now. It's terrible that they put that stuff on her pastures into her hay. And they thought, oh, we got nice clean hay. Yeah, your horses are eating it. It's tearing up their gut bombs, and you just haven't figured it out yet. Not been enough years to see the cumulative effects of that. You're poisoning your horses when you feed them that stuff, folks. You need to make sure that the hay comes from good, clean sources. cattle too. It's just not good. It's not. It's the flip side of glyphosate, Roundup. Now we see all the issues with that, and some we're ignoring it. We're going off and doing the same kind of thing. I used to be so thankful that they didn't spray this stuff on pastures. Oh, I'm so glad that the pasture land is still good. If I can go buy some pasture land, I can turn it into a nice organic farm. They messed that up. They messed it up. They totally messed it up. Thank you, Monsanto. Now Bayer and all those big chemical companies, they got a lot of farmers sold out. This is so good. Look how pretty your hay is. Well, that hay worked before. Y'all messed it up. Anyway, I'm not happy with that. Can you tell? Can you tell? I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy that they're backing off on rules vis-a-vis glyphosate either. We got now crop weeders with lasers on them and go thing just burn the weeds. Zzz, 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 zzz. Why not do that? So what do you think about mushroom compost? It's just fine. It's just fine. And mushrooms, most times you grow them in tree products. And tree, like you can get wood pellets to grow mushrooms in, or some people grow mushrooms in logs. The stuff in the trees is pulling from deep down. And that's even better if you now see all my mulch comes from trees, every bit of it. Way back I showed you guys, I said the best worm bed now comes from trees because of all this glyphosate stuff. Or it used to be that the best thing you can grow put in a worm bed was cotton hulls, gin trash. Oh my gosh, it would make worm castings and worm compost that look like chocolate cake. And it could still look like chocolate cake, but it's toxic. So looks good, but yeah, you better look under the hood. It ain't so good. All right, I'm digressing severely here, but I'm trying to give you guys practical advice that you're not going to get anywhere else. What other prepping news channel gives you this kind of advice? I give it to you because that's how I live, because it's what I know. It's what I run into. And there's no horse rubbish in it. No horse dovers either. You might, if you can find a good source where they don't have the hay like that. And I did find a little bit of that, but you got to be really, really careful what your manure sources are now. Exceedingly careful, or it'll mess your garden up. That Grazon is so bad, it'll wipe everything out. It's terrible. I tried some of this horse manure that was supposed to have been clean, and I bought a big load of. It won't even sprout radish seeds. Now I can take radish seeds and put them on a plate and sprout them on a napkin. I used to grow them on rock wool. If you've watched my channel from way back, I grew a lot of radishes in the ground and microgreens, many different ways. I've grown so much radish, it's not funny. So when something won't sprout a radish seed, I know something is severely wrong. Take it to the bank. I'm not kidding about that. Anyway, all that said, let's get back to this Strait of Hormuz thing. This is a problem that, I guess the Trump administration, they thought, well, we'll go in and we know we can get the leadership now. We'll get the leadership. We'll take out all the main facilities and that'll be it. Well, they forgot just how widespread the IRGC is. The intel was out there. They just didn't read it. They didn't realize how embedded they were. And they were thinking in Western terms, like, how people, look, in Iraq, we dropped these mother of all bombs, basically Fay bombs, that just devastated troops to the point that troops were actually surrendering to drones. Anything they could surrender to just to get the heat off of them. It was pretty bad for them. But these guys they didn't have quite the fanaticism that the guys in our GC possess. So this is a whole nother matter. When you're not fighting an army, but you're fighting a religious element that is really wrapped up around it. I mean, everything about them and their beliefs is so tightly embedded in this that it just Westerners really have a hard time comprehending what that means. These guys are in for it. And now maybe if they're pummeled enough, a lot of them will give up. But see, even in Iraq, That did not give the U.S. victory. It was boots on the ground. No war has ever overthrown a regime without boots on the ground. Now, the boots could come from the locals, the protesters, except they're not armed. Now, as I just reported, they may be getting virtually armed through the fact that suddenly there's apps that enable them to call in airstrike RGC checkpoints and facilities and troops with their phone from the Israelis. The Israelis are responding. That's pretty amazing. Again, back to drone technology and asymmetric warfare now with drones and cell phones and social media sites. Of course, the Iranians are trying to smash these cell phones now, at least our GC side is. The Bajis, which is the local enforcement arm of the IRGC, that's the main units that are continuing with. So this is something people need to take. I'll go in the chat room, a little bit, guys. You got to hang, bother. I'm watching to see if I get any super chats. For the people that come in here in the morning, I want them to get the news first, because that's what they're in here for. Then I'll come back to you guys. So this whole thing is, it's got, pretty bad with this Strait of Hormuz dilemma. This is an economic train wreck for the world. Like I said, maybe they wanted some inflation. But when it comes down to food shortages, the fertilizer not coming out, that gets to be borderline catastrophic, especially for poor nations. The American farmers will just pay more money, and you'll pay more money for it at the store shelves if you can absorb it. But what do you get from the store shelves? Inflated food costs, highly processed food, foods that are contaminated with all kind of stuff, other products that are contaminated. I've covered ad infinitum on this channel. You really need to get into growing your own. Now, a lot of people, I can't grow my own food. I live in a city. I'm in a high rise. You got a window? Do you have a stoop? Do you have a back porch? You have a patio? Well, you can put it in containers, grow it in pots. And you got a closet you can put stuff in. You realize you can put racks and grow lights in there. Have you seen me grow microgreens inside my house, inside a trailer? I've shown you guys how to do these things. So don't tell me you can't do it. Jubilee and economic religious reset. We need a major jubilee for debt and, ways of thinking. Those are ways of thinking or stinking. They're leading us into cataclysmic events coming down the road. Somebody said that, what was it? One of the big banksters, not Diamond, but somebody else this time. What was his name? I had a problem. I'll pull it up some other time and show it to you guys. He says that, his analysis says every 75 years we have a big turning over of everything. And he says there's like 6 stages in the world of well in the stage 5, and the stage 6 is total collapse. And then there's a rebuilding. And that kind of philosophy has been echoed by others in many different ways, fourth turn-in and so forth. And it looks like we are in a big time of change. But that also means your government at home can change. And there's no guarantee it'll change for the better. That's why we've got to be alert to these things. I think most of my followers love and appreciate freedom. And that is something that we currently push, is to maintain our freedoms. And so we can't give up on that. But part of that is we got a lot of young people that's gone through universities, and they've had a lot of strange thinking put in their heads. And a whole lot of this was, orchestrated by, nonetheless, the Chinese are all in our universities, my friends. And a lot of your, Cloward and Piven sources got into our universities, and they really promote communism big time. So, and a lot of our young people have been spoon-fed this so much, and they sit through so much media everywhere they go. They see this message. This is it. This is the way. This is the way. Everything else is bad. Follow this. Follow this. America's the worst nation that ever existed. Oh my gosh! You got to do this. You got to do this. So it's time to wake up, and it's time to help other people wake up as much as you can. It's not easy to, you can't hit them over the head with everything all at once. You just got to slowly spill them into it, you know. So, well, what about, you know, just ask them questions, make them say, so what about this, you know? Well, if this, what about that? You know, just start questioning them, make them question themselves and their whole belief systems. You know, it can be done, at least to some people, the smarter ones, if they're not just so rigid and everything. But, you know, we've got to do that, or we're going to be going down a strange road. Gen X is here for freedom. Yay, salute to that. I mean, what's so bad about freedom? I mean, gosh, anywhere where the peoples are, where they don't have it, they want it. It's only here where we've had so much of it, we got, so we take it for granted, and then we come out and decide, oh, it's bad. It's bad. Where does that come from? Not from a good place. It comes from those countries and places where they're trying to sell us on this with their own citizens really don't like it anymore. You know, in China, there's a lot of internal strife. There's buildings being blown. If you watch certain channels, you'll see there's a lot of people down there don't want the system. But you got to realize China, for all of its huge military, they got an internal security force bigger than their military. Why? If that system was so great and wonderful, they wouldn't need that. And therein lies a big truth. So maybe that's something else. Why, hey guys, why is it that China needs a bigger internal security force than a military? Yeah, some things like that. That's a little arrow you can put in your quiver and keep it love air to shoot at them and try to wake them up, you know. You know, just things like that. There's a ton of these kind of things. Why is the people in all these countries so unhappy? Why do they go from there to here? Do you see droves of people trying to escape into those countries? No, not unless you're leaving North Korea, which is even worse. But they don't allow that because they don't want immigration in China. So imagine that. And most countries don't. My GG generation, baby. All right. So, yeah, there's a lot of power struggles. So, these are things we got to bear in mind. But let's go back to this situation in front of us. This whole thing with Strait of Hormuz. Trump really can't solve it, I don't think. I think because, like I said, unless they can really and truly find all the sources that those drones come from, all their little hidey holes. So far, we didn't do too good with that with the Houthis, but man, we didn't have this big a campaign on the Houthis. You really got to wipe out all the manufacturing facilities and all the hidey holes for the Shahed drones. Then maybe you could secure the Gulf. If you do that and then you put a perimeter around the Gulf, the two things together. But those drones have a long range. And, you know, similar goes for the missiles. But the missiles, you know, we're knocking down the launchers, so we're seeing like we're having some impact on the missiles, although they're still flying some. So we know they got miles and miles of these things buried in the ground, including fast attack boats. Do we know where all those are? There are definitely people inside that would give some of that stuff away because, well, you know, the regular Iranians are not happy with the regime that's oppressing them. They haven't been for a long time, except the followers of the mullahs. But so there we are. And Gen X, I think we need separate bathrooms for for MAGA. All right. Well, so here's the deal. The deal is that Trump is caught, like I said, between a rock and a hard place now. That he's got to face, you know, boots on the ground is a political suicide in this country, and leaving the strait closed is political suicide. You can't open the strait probably unless he puts boots on the ground. So they got a force to do it, but a small force. But unless they take out the drones, that won't work. You can't just put a perimeter up when you got drones that can fly in all day from 1,000 miles away. How does that work? How does that work? So there's your dilemma. There's your dilemma. It is a dilemma. I would hope that, you know, I was hoping he'd, you know, given that we know that shy of putting a full-fledged force in and committing to major ground invasion, we're not going to root out the RGC unless we can arm the protesters. That may be another one. Like I said, the Israelis got them now where they're almost virtually armed. But is that good enough? Probably not quite. They probably need more. They need bang bangs. They need nugs. Tell you that word and flip around if you're new to my channel. They need nugs. So uh, I don't think he actually thought they could take over. I think he thought is a possibility. He asked them to do it, but given what he had seen before, I think it was dawning on they probably can't pull it off. And just given the strength of the RGC, they're not going to do it without some assistance. Now, if we could find ways, like maybe through the Kurds, to sneak stuff in, if the Kurds go in, then Turkey goes nuts. Turkey goes nuts, they're going to attack the Kurds. And the Kurds are now realizing that they're going to get hit in their back door if they go into Iran. So they're maybe a lot more reluctant to hit right now. But this may be still their last best chance to have a homeland of their own. So they might do it anyway. But by themselves, they're not sufficient either. Now, they've claimed that they got alliances inside of Iran. Maybe they do, but they're probably still not sufficient to take out the IRGC unless they can arm the protesters. If somehow there's some stuff funneled to it, well, they actually directly arm the protesters. Now, there is a possibility that maybe, given the protesters basically virtual weapons where they could take out enough of the besiege, which is, like I said, that internal security arm of the IRGC. Maybe they could do it. Maybe. But it'd be tough. It's not outside the realm of possibility. So there is a chance that maybe the protesters could take over. The best outcome for the Western world would be if the protesters did take over Iran and set up a Western-friendly nation and call in, the son of the Shah, and maybe let him organize a government and hold elections. That's what he says he'll do. Now, we'll have to see if that will work, if that will happen. I wouldn't bet big money on it. Let me put it that way. I think the chances are still slim, but it is a possibility. And let's hope and pray for that one. Because we don't want to see, we don't want to see American boots on the ground there. It would be an ugly situation. Now, here's what may be holding Iranians back. The thing that may be holding them back, and I mentioned this already, is the realization that if they do fully unleash the sleeper cells in this country to the full extent, people here are going to get mad. Then there might be calls for get them, just like after 9/11. Even though that origins of what happened there, got a lot of people asking a lot of questions, like, what's this about? I just mentioned his name, Larry Silverstein. Pull it. Well, talking about, he says pull it and building number 7 falls down. Pull it. That's a baby chicken, right? Pull it. Anyway, yeah, really strange. And now suddenly he's bought this big high-rise, giant, enormous, one of the most evident edifices in the Los Angeles buildings. Could be coincidental. Could be. If that building falls, we know something's cooking. There you go. That building falls, watch out. And then it's time to be super skeptical. Now, I've been told, well, the Iranians can't hit us on the West Coast. It's too far across the ocean. Actually, the Iranians have crossed the Pacific Ocean and come to the Americas. And they have actually, with their navy, circumnavigated the globe. Of course, their navy is mostly at the bottom of the drink right now with the fishes. But they've also had commercial ships that have crossed the drink. So, in 2023, just 3 years ago, the 86th Naval Flotilla out of Iran circumnavigated the entire globe. They went around through the Straits of Malacca, the South Pacific, Strait of Magellan, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. They went around the world. They visited a lot of countries. And yeah, like I said, now they're mostly swimming with the fishes instead of, down under, instead of on top of the water with with the seagulls. But, there's still an existing commercial fleet. Now, a lot of this commercial fleet has, some of them have been apprehended, and some of them had just gone dark. They have a shadow dark fleet. An example is the motor tanker, the Skipper. Now, that one was seized by the U.S. in December 2025, and it was found moving from Venezuela, oil support. Anyway, the RGC's shadow economy is part of what was seized, but they still have some that are active, like the commercial ships belong to this organization called the IRSL, I believe it is. Let's see, but they have a couple of ships that are still active out there right now that we know of, maybe a few more. But they have ships that you've got to pay attention to. And you could definitely launch Shahed drones from a commercial ship. You could even launch them from a utility boat. You can launch them from a yacht. You can launch them back of a truck. You can launch them from a yacht. So the question is, are they getting them? We know that the Iranians supplied a lot of missiles to Venezuela and drones. They sent drones to Venezuela. So what's to say that they didn't send a few things from the Pacific? So in fact, there's two ships that are just left China. One's called the Shabdis, I don't know how you say it. The other is the Barzin. They just left China in March the 8th of 2026, carrying a load of sodium perchlorate, a rocket fuel. Those ships haven't been apprehended. There could be others out there that could be coming to the United States. So to just say that they can't reach us, now I've already shown how if they don't have to get to the shore, they don't even have to get within our air defense zones off the West Coast. The range of these drones is so long, if they put them on balloons and launch them from a ship the way I used to launch rockets and balloons, and I showed y'all a video where 26 years ago, I was launching a hypersonic rocket vehicle from a balloon. So, doing all this out of a garage. If I could have done that, yeah, they can do it. They can do it. But would they do it? That's the big question. There are some rest of them. But nonetheless, then, the new Ayatollah is outlined an escalation ladder, which could lead to things like this. And by that escalation ladder, we're not yet. How can preppers and the prepared protect against drones? Well, don't be near big cities. Don't be near military targets. Now, if you're in the military, you just need to be extremely situation aware and be ready to duck. When you get a conventional explosion, you have to duck and cover. If you hear a big explosion hit the ground so the shrapnel don't hit you. Things like that. If it's a nuclear thing, definitely hit the ground because you got a blast wave coming at you. Don't get up till the back blast comes back over you again. You got two waves. Conventional weapon won't have as much of a black blast as like a nuclear weapon. But, you got to be aware of these things. I got 3 new kittens in the house. One of them's climbing around behind me back here. Smokey needed some company. All right, so all that said, the Democrats have the U.S. Coast Guard in limbo. Oh, wow, the Coast Guard too? Yeah, I know. Well, the Department of Homeland Security is shut down, basically. When we need it the most. Thank you, Chucky Schumer and crowd. So there we go. I'm going to show y'all a couple things here. Bear with me a second here. I'm going to show you a statement by Mujtaba Hamini that kind of drills into this. Let's see here. Bing, 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 bing. Here we are. He said Iran would seek compensation from its enemies and warned of further action if those demands aren't rejected. Well, the initial further actions are if it refuses, it being, United States and Israel, that pay them money, like we're going to pay them for the entire destruction of their country. Not happening. You know, maybe if the pro-Western side won, we might give them something like a Marshall Plan to make sure that they stayed in power as much as anything else. Uh, so if it refuses, we will take from its assets to the extent we deem appropriate. And if that's not possible, we will destroy its assets to the same extent. What assets of America or Israel could Iran possibly seize, take? Anybody got a clue on that one? Famous superior buddy. Anybody got a clue on that one? Yeah. How would they do that? What would it take, and how would it take, and how would they take a nation's worth of assets from us from overseas? Or they're talking about seizing all the other Gulf state oil terminals, and yeah, I don't think that would go over. So, and then he also warned that the strategic waterway linking the Persian Gulf to the global energy markets could remain a pressure point in the conflict like for some time. So basically, what they've said is that if they can't seize the assets, they're going to destroy them. They're going to expand the war, the attacks. And this is where you might see sleeper cells and drones and things like that happen. But he went on and said the lever of closing the Strait of Hormuz must certainly continue to be used as well. Studies have also been conducted on opening other fronts in which the enemy, that's us, has little experience and would be highly vulnerable. Their activation will take place if the wartime situation continues in accordance with considerations of expediency. Now we're talking sleeper cells. This is why the sleeper cells aren't taken out of our grid right now and doing other heinous things. But even Donald Trump admitted they existed. Donald Trump, in his statement, he said, well, we know who they are and we're watching them, which made my head explode. Okay, you know who they are. Why haven't you deported them already? Why was that not the first people you deported? That kind of frosts my cake in a way. It's like frosting a crap cake. You know, that's something I don't even want to hear. It's like, whoa. You know about these guys? Okay, I'm glad you watched them. How come you ain't got rid of them? How come you haven't got them out of here? That kind of gets me. So something needs to be done. Something needs to happen to get these sleep. If y'all just join, you'll want to catch it on a rewind, guys, and see this from the beginning. So there's a lot to be said here, a lot to be questioned, just too much at stake here. I mean, we're talking about the world economy is been in bad shape already. Really and truly, it's been a house of cards, and the banks are just teetering right now, a lot of them, and this can cause major financial implosion. But like I said, you know, there's some sources looking for an excuse to increase inflation to devalue the debt. Has anybody talked about this war in that context? I can tell you guys, I'm a big picture guy. I look at things in ways that a lot of people aren't want to look at it. So I also promised y'all this morning I'd show you this drone. I was doing my video this morning, and I knew I had a guy coming. The guy was bringing my kittens, but I thought he was going to be coming like 15 or 20 minutes later. He surprised me. He got here early. And so I just wrapped that video up real fast. And I didn't go through all the points I wanted to make. But this is the Israeli, Indian-made Israeli killer drone. Looks kind of like our Predator drone, right? This is the Hermes right here, made in Israel. No, excuse me, made in India. That's it right there. That's a pretty formal long-distance drone. As I mentioned, they also have drones that are dropping stuff from they're dropping drones from C-130s. They're having drones that are working as motherships. They're dropping these micro drones. So they got a lot of drones going in. But the scary thing, I think this is what I didn't really hit. Maybe I should do a video on this topic alone. They're not only relying on the local Iranians who were telling them about the locations of the RGC, they're using their AI. Their AI is picking targets. And the scariest thing of all is their AI is using face recognition. So now we got AI-driven drones attacking and terminating people using face recognition. I remember a video several years ago that warned of this kind of thing, and it was really a frightening video. So if they could use that there, you might say, yeah, we're winning, blah, 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 blah. What happens when somebody else uses this technology? What if they use it against us? You know, drone can't see if you're underground. Underground homes might start looking a lot more attractive, bunkers. And bear in mind, there's many ways to take out drones. There's some kid, and I thought I showed you this in the previous video. Some kid who's come up with a way to use shotgun shells to deploy netting that can take out drones. That's pretty effective. Now these are your smaller drones, you know, your quadricopters things. It wouldn't be taking out a Shahed 136 or one of these Hermes drones. But, you know, another thing, you know, the laser dome, you know, the new laser dome that, you know, Israel's claiming to be able to take down drones and missiles, has not been very effective. They put it up there to take out the Hezbollah's entered the conflict, and Hezbollah's flinging rockets into Israel. And so they put up this new laser drone. What do they call this dome now? The laser dome. It's a lot of stuff still getting through it. So, you know, I was asked, how come we're not using the same lasers and microwave weapons they're using in El Paso? If those things really worked and worked at scale, then they ought to make short work of the Shahed 136s. Well, we probably don't have enough of them to use at scale is the answer. And the other thing is they don't work 100%, and maybe not all that good at all yet because it's not working out too well in Israel. And I think their laser system is about the same as what we got down in El Paso. So, yet you're going to need is a combination of things. Lasers, you know, you fire a lot of stuff. It's a lot cheaper than firing missiles. And the microwave is supposed to be a broadcast system, take down a bunch of drones. The laser is supposed to eliminate some of the others. And then it was said you'd have to go on the attack aircraft to take out the others. Now, you can do that with bullets or attack aircraft jets and helicopters. But maybe that, and we got 10,000 Ukrainian anti-drone weapons going on. Maybe those would give security. Maybe enough layers of this kind of stuff. Maybe we can open the Strait of Hormuz. Let's hope we find a way to get the Strait of Hormuz open without boots on the ground or a very limited operation. Now, it's been also said that we're look, what's happened? We went into Iran. We've hit them. Tactically, our mission was a success. Now, what I mean by that, tactics is you target a target, you pick a target and you blow it up. Well, as of 10 days in the war, we had already destroyed 6,000 targets. That day or so ago, we destroyed 6,000 targets. I think like a week in the war, we'd hit 5,000 and Israel hit 5,000. So between us, it was like 10,000 targets. We destroyed a lot of targets. But, you know, the IRGC forces are kind of like the Houthis. We're playing whack-a-mole. They just keep popping up. Drones keep popping up. So we don't know everything. They should be targeted, obviously, as part of it because they got a lot of extensive tunnels and drones on them. The number of missiles have slowed down, but the drones are still coming. So you got to really cut that down to almost nothing for people to feel secure to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. And maybe a multi-level system if you got to hold the shore apparently, and so they don't be popping up on the shore, and then a multi-level system to take out what's coming from a distance might work. That might work. Then maybe we can declare victory, and it all comes to an end. But still, what's happened? So we've hit them. We've hit them. We've hit them hard. We've hit them long. We've dropped more bombs than was dropped in War II, and yet they keep popping up. They keep shooting drones, and we haven't got through uranium. So we're missing something. Now, it's been suggested there may be a special operation, 5,000 up to 10,000 soldiers may go in to take the uranium. It's also been rumored the 82nd Airborne is on alert. Anybody, where's old Fort Bragg at? We hadn't seen him in the house in a while. Anybody near Fort Bragg? Do you know about the uranium, about the, y'all know anything about the 82nd Airborne? So I would still say the chances are better than not that we're going to leave the IRGC in the rubble, but they'll still be there. After we leave, they'll stand up from the rubble and rebuild and come at us again. But we got to keep growing. And the only way to stop it is forces on the ground. Hopefully they're not ours. Hopefully the protesters can be armed. But if you can coordinate, and here's something. Hello, Israel. Listen, Israel, or whoever else wants to listen. If you can have locals, protesters, use their cell phone to dial in a strike against RGC forces, or IRGCs, and I'm going to leave off the say talk too fast. Then you could also have them tell you what's a safe place to do an airdrop, to drop in some AKs or M4s or, the 16 version. Why not? Give these protesters a means to take care of themselves. Then we can maybe get out of some of this stuff we're in. Anyway, something to think about. So, like I said, the whole going in the first place bugged me when we're using all this ammo we needed to be able to save to deal with China. I was skeptical about even playing whack-a-mole the Houthis. Now we're really blowing it off. And I'm just there. Have no fear. Fear only makes you make wrong decisions. Yeah, don't panic. That's what I keep telling everybody. Don't panic. So, in any event, guys, there are things that we need to do differently if you're going to do this. Now, I did beg a question in the previous video. Was this war inevitable? I don't have the answer to that, but certainly Iran was making uranium. They were enriching it way past any needs for research for peaceful purposes, they claimed. And they had always said death to America, and they really meant that. Their faith really was founded on this idea to get that 12th Iman, come out of the hole, that they had to basically be in an apocalyptic situation. So, hello, that 12th Iman is not coming out of the hole. Now, they may dress somebody up, call them the 12th Iman. I don't know what to do in that regard. But, that's not happening, guys. So, maybe this will shake the faith of the people there, but their faith don't seem to be shaken all. If the IRGC survives in any fashion, they will declare victory. We may declare victory; they'll declare victory too, and then they would come back like a weed. And next time they'll be mad. This time, will they really hit us or not? Next time, a lot more likely. Will they try to get nukes? Can we stop it? I mean, maybe they'll just buy them from North Korea and they won't even cross their soil. We won't see nothing there. There's nothing here. Yeah, well, it's out at sea. Being attached to a balloon to drift over the United States and detonate an EMP. I've already told you guys that's worse than a full-scale nuclear war, and I've shown this to you many times, but a lot back in the past and a little bit recently. So it's nothing to joke about. Nothing to joke about. So we are in a predicament. Any way you slice it or dice it, if you want to say this was the worst thing that ever happened or we shouldn't have done it, you can say it till the cows come home. The fact of the matter is it's already ongoing. The fact of the matter is it's time to consider your preps and take them seriously. Water sanitation, purification, two different things, my friends, is paramount. Make sure you can deal with water. Make sure you deal with shelter. Do you have alternate means for shelter? I got a van I can live in. I can live. I've actually lived in two of my vans. I know how to do it. Been there, done it. Lived for a year in my van. If for some reason I had to leave my home, I can live in my van. Uh, so yeah, I'm the man with a van. I'm the man with a plan with a van. So yeah, if you got to bug out, know where you're going to bug out to. Don't just have some vague idea. Well, I'm going to go out in the wilderness, or I'm going to go this national park. Well, so is everybody else. And you'll all be starving to death, and you'll be the long pork. If you're planning to stay in the city, you'll be the long pork. The cities are going to be no place to be. So, I'm just trying to give you some practical advice here to go with all this stuff. This is not fear mongering. We're just talking about what is in front of us, and we got to get serious into it. Because if you think the prices aren't going to go up, they're already going up. Like I said, I've already seen stuff on the grocery shelves go up. I've already seen the gasoline go up. You get if we don't get this straight open, and if the sulfur and other fertilizer components don't come through it, then there's going to be less stuff grown. Less stuff grown. It means a shorter supply, high demand, prices go up. And a lot of people in a lot of places are going to go hungry. Like I've said, if you're living on a fixed income, start gaming some way to make a little extra income. Uh, Start thinking about what are you good at? What can you do? What service can you sell? How can you be a service to somebody else? That's where you make your money. Can you grow food? Uh, well, the drones will get you if they're hunting you. They may not be hunting you. Are you a target? Are you a reason for them to come after you? What do you do to make them want you? They're going to go after high priority targets first. But you can also dig in. They can't find you. Hey, that might be a thing if they can't find you. But if they can see you and they know who you are, they got your face. You got a driver's license, they know who you are. Your face is already, you put your face on Facebook, they know who you are. They got your face, they got your picture. Very few people have not put their pictures. Are pretty good here, Snowflake. Are you talking about my town, Snowflake? Are pretty good here. What do we mean are pretty good here? Snowflake's a decent town. It's got a lot of preppers. A lot of preppers here locally. Uh, the prepper index or ratio here is much higher than lots of other places. Much higher. For one, it's basically a Mormon town, and Mormons prep to the hilt. It's part of their religion. And then out here, most people are either homesteaders or preppers, and it's pretty. It's almost interchangeable. So there's the fraction of people who can come eat you is more favorable here than most places. So that's a good thing. All right. All that said, that's a big thing to take into account when you're prepping. You need to find a prep. I'm living in my bug out location. I've already bugged out. I'm bugging in into my bug out. I'm not saying if I have to bug out again, it's doable. Uh, Concho has compounds, has had them for years. There's also some militias around here. They've got plans if things go south to preserve this area. I'm not going to repeat the plans I've heard, but the things I've heard it from multiple sources over in the first time I came out here in 2019, I heard that story. So, um, yeah, uh, there's definitely worse places to be. Definitely worse places to be by a long shot. I hope none of this comes to this. I'm with you, Brian. Definitely. I always tell you to prep and pray. And I do believe in the power of prayer. Absolutely. All right, guys, I'm going to show you some other. We're going to talk about products. Of course, food isn't the only thing. You buy a lot of junk in the stores, lotions and sunscreens and toothpaste. And, even you run your own food, there's things you're probably going after. So I just want to show you guys this real fast. Because all this stuff you buy from the big stores, all these 550 brands, or plus over 550, controlled by 12 companies now. And they don't care about what they put in these products. I've done videos showing you this stuff has got all kind of contaminants in it. Even your toothpaste, heavy metals, a lot of stuff there. Toothpaste, Himalayan, blah, blah, blah. People thought was nice and say, I've had a local guy tell me, man, I was using that. I thought it was good. And I went through the data and was like, no, this is what it's got in it. And he quit using it. So these are things to think about, things to take into consideration. Not only that, but these 12 companies, most of these companies, if you look under the supporters, the House of Klaus, who are not lovers of freedom, that's how they're supported. And controlling the interest in these companies are typically owned by these big asset management companies. And we know who runs BlackRock, right? Larry Fink. What's he run? House of Klaus now. But every time you buy any of this stuff here, you're voting for that stuff there in the House of Klaus. Every dollar is a vote. So I think it's time to think real hard about switching away from that. And I've developed my own website here, switchwithgreg.com. You come to switchwithgreg.com and you can get out of supporting those companies because you can go to help a family-owned manufacturer with non-toxic products. Even the cleaners are plant-based, and you're supporting American jobs and families because it's all made right here in America. And that's the good thing. You can come in here and read about it more on here, testimonials and some things here. Just go in here and fill out this form. It just goes straight to me, and I got a helper that's helping me out to contact you guys and bring you guys on board. So check that out. Switchwithgreg.com. Anyway, enough said of that. Oil prices. We've seen them get really volatile. They were going up. And then Trump says, hey, we're going to escort guys through the Gulf with our Navy. Well, it turns out even our Navy feels like it's unsafe to go through the Strait of Hormuz. So once they figured that out and figured out this is a lot worse than we thought, the price of oil has been climbing back. It's still climbing, guys. Still climbing. $97.20 a barrel right now. And it's climbing. It's still going up. Now, he can convince people that we got it solved, it'll fall back down. But some people think it goes as high as $200 a barrel. That would mean what you're paying a pump would probably double. So that would be extremely painful. And it would percolate throughout the entire economy because everything's run by fuel. So just something to take into account. Something to think about. Check the room here in a minute. Yeah, he took Cargallen too. But he didn't take it. He bombed the heck out of the military targets there. And he said military targets, so maybe he didn't bomb the oil processing places. And he got onto Israel for bombing the oil processing places near Tehran, oil storage facilities. As he said, hey, look, we don't attack the people. We're trying to take out the RGC. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Anyway, how long have I been on there? 68 minutes. Ooh. There's your Marines going. Some sources say 5,000, some say 2,500. I see both numbers. Yeah, this is your carrier. I believe it's the Iwo Jima. Is that right? Oh, the Tripoli. It's the Tripoli. Okay, pardon me. It's the Tripoli that's going in. So, oh yeah, there was a refueling plant KC-135 that two of them apparently collided. One of them crashed, took all the Americans in it. So we got at least 7 Americans over there dead. We've lost, what was that? Anyway, we've lost at least 7, with probably 140 injured. Iranian attacks on U.S. soil likely, with thousands of vengeful sleeper cells in this country. It's not a matter of if, but when. We're already seeing lone actors act out. We're already seeing that. But like I said, this might be an escalation thing. It may not happen all at once. And we've been given the clue to that by none other than Mujtaba Hominy, the new supreme leader, talking about how that could be escalated. And it's more likely to be escalated than not. Oh, yeah. Thousands of Chinese fishing vessels are lining up in straight lines in the sea. Now, they've done it twice. They've just done it recently. This could be kind of a practice run for putting a blockade around Taiwan, which might suggest that their action on Taiwan may be imminent. And in case people don't understand, these are civilian vessels. In China, anything that's owned by the government is also part of the CCP. It's dual use for the military. Just like these cargo ships here, container ships with missile launching tubes all over them. Look at that. It's just a cargo ship. Well, they could put one of these right off, the West Coast, there in Long Beach, Port Long Beach, or any port we got for receiving cargo containers or anywhere else. They wanted to put them missile launcher tubes, and they can sell these around Taiwan. You'd think this is not a naval asset, and then suddenly the little ISO shipping containers open up. Now the top pops missile launching tubes, drones. There they are, guys, right there. So and I've shown in the past how they've launched rockets from ISO shipping containers off of a cargo vessel. Now, if you think that cargo vessels can't be militarized, you need to go back and watch the little episodes where I was launching balloons with rockets off of the back of a supply boat, which is much smaller. Supply boat. You can launch you can launch a Shahed 136 off of a yacht. Several of them. All right. I like to kind of wrap these things up, getting a little bit more humorous. 2 humanoid robot soldiers delivered to Ukraine by U.S. company. Man, we're coming in some strange times. This is the Phantom MK1. The Phantom MK1. So, man, there's so many drones coming out. So many drones coming out right now. Foundation, apparently, is the name of the company. Foundation, Phantom MK1. Well, I don't know how useful it's going to be, but it's just a matter of time till these things get pretty frightening. That and drones. Where are we going, guys? Earthquakes. Bunch of little bitty ones. I got one right there off of El Salvador, 5.3. Got something down here of Chile. What is that? It's 5.3. All right, not so bad right now. Space weather. Sun is pretty quiet. Some little sunspots. We do have spots. We're not in the monitor minimum or the 80 minimum, as they called it. Apparently went really fast. There's a big coronal hole area, but the aurora is pretty scant right now. If you're in Alaska, you might see it. So there's a lot of asteroids that passed near us in the past. Coming forward in the future, coming between Earth and the Moon on 14th of April. Yeah, we're already past the 13th. So nothing is really threatening that we know of. But it's always all these, we find them after they passed us. A lot of good that does. Go back and watch some of my other videos, guys. I got a lot of content on here. Click on videos. You see a lot of later stuff that have come out here. Talking about how the war ends. You need to watch that one. Well, I didn't mean to start it. Get out of that. Get out of that. Get out of that. I'm going to stop the share. I'm actually going to read the chat room for a little bit. We're going a little bit longer than I meant to. I can get the Phantom T1000 to make beer runs. There you go. Well, I don't think they're up to driving yet, but we'll have self-driving cars, Maybe one of your Tesla cars, but who knows? Who knows? I've seen a video of one of them driving a motorcycle. That was pretty impressive. Out a motorcycle. What do you mean by that, Shaggy? Hey, then, Shaggy, good to see you back in the house these days. All right, I'm going to try to get through the chat room fast. I'm going to read everything in it because it's getting late. It's already 3 o'clock in the morning here. I'm not careful, the sun will be getting up before I go to bed, and I can't afford that because I can't sleep when the sun goes up in my windows here. And got some people coming over here in the morning. So Fazioli, first in the house, is typical. So hello to you. If you ain't first, you're last. All right. Chihuahua. Okay. Talking Chihuahua. You keep saying Chihuahua. Anyway. Uh, Howdy hasn't started snoring yet. Hmm. I need to be doing some snoring right now. My electric bill went up $130. Oh, oh, you're on TVA, huh? TVA cost adjustment double per kilowatt hour. Doubled? Holy smoke. And almost 80, another 80. Oh, went up two. Oh, wow. TDDR. Yeah, I used to get my power through TVA. Mm, that's rough. How much of that is AI data center driven? I don't know, guys. Oatmeal for breakfast. There you go. Lunch and dinner. Yeah, well, you probably need to diversify your diet there a little bit, my buddy. Let's see. Operation Epic. Fury. We're kidding. That was pretty epic. Good morning, everyone. Amen. How you doing, Jerry Gamble? Good to see you back in the house. And Peppermint Patty. C. Shelley. Thank you. All right. Yeah. C5, C5. My friends Eddie and Carrie. Yeah, they took me to a really nice lunch and they've been out here, so they know the way around. Now, heirloom seeds, clay soil, and dry climate. Well, clay is rough to grow in. You need to make you some compost. Get some compost. Make compost. Recycle food scraps. You know, Curtis Stone, how did he start? Before he started his garden, he spent all fall and winter. He used to do everything with his bicycle, riding around all the restaurants with his bicycle and bringing back loads of food scraps and made compost. So you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. He did it that way. If you can do it from a bicycle, I mean, that guy was a kind of a Puritan fanatic about being able to do everything from a bicycle for a long time. He outgrew that. He got a lot more practical as he got older. Vermicompost. There you go, Fazioli. Fazoli. Let's say Fazioli. It's Fazoli. Pardon me. You see, I got a buddy. He's probably passed away. And his name was Grazioli. I keep trying to say your name the way I said it is. Fazoli. All right. So, yeah. We'll give you some thumbs up, folks. That gave a thumbs up. Please go for it. Fungal dominant. There you go. Well, hey, fungus is really good in the garden salt. It really is. Mycelium. Mycelium networks makes a big difference. What's your take on urine to fertilize? Okay, you ask seriously. Urine will break down into if you use the right bacteria, and then you'll find them in the soil. It'll eventually break down in nitrate. So it goes. You got you got two kinds of bacteria in operation. You got nitrosomonas turn ammonia in your urine to nitrate, and then Nitrobacters will turn the nitrate into nitrite. The first stage is nitrite. The second stage, Nitrobacters turn it into nitrate. So it will make a fertilizer. The thing to be careful is what kind of medicines are you taking, because that's going to be in there too. So that's the big bugaboo about it. So you got to be careful with medications you're taking, but it will make your soil fertile. Now, if you put too much of it on a plant, you get too much nitrate. It's not good for something. You can kill plants. Too much nitrate burns them up. All this dirt was going after Homeland mine. Holding mindset. I can't go through every comment you made, old as dirt, but if somebody's being respectful, having a different opinion's okay. My GG generation, yeah, there we go. I think I've answered that question. Have drones changed warfare forever? I think so. I think so. I think so, Kerry. I think they have. Jerry Gim, I've been watching not the live through LOL Sleeper is great. Huh? What are you saying, Jerry? I've been watching Nut the live, though LOL Sleeper is great to see everyone. Not sure what you meant by that. Okay, Water Girl, good morning. Thank you, Lord, for our freedoms. Amen to that. I don't put chemicals in my soil. Good to hear that. I need to amend my soil. Compost, vermicompost is the best. Thank you, Seashell, for calling for the thumbs up. Yeah, you can definitely use mushroom compost. I started worms in mushroom compost. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. What I think about free range cow manure, that would be just fine. Free range cow manure, big thumbs up. But you got to go grab every single patty. Yippee cow patty. Ever heard that song? Radish can be used to replace potatoes or in addition to soups and stews. Yeah, radish are very nutritious. My boss has ears like an eagle. Uh-oh. Flower struggles. I'm going to go through these real fast. I may miss some, guys. I wonder if President Trump actually thought the Iranian systems would take over the government. Yeah, I think I answered that one earlier. Uh, I don't think so, but he might have. He probably thought there was a chance. I think of a quote from Carlton Heston on the movie True Lies in the 1994 film. Have yet to come across you in town. Oh, you're in town? D. Dayarm. You're in town? Okay, so I'm bringing up. I am in town. I've had people recognize me. Oh, you're at Green Greg's. Go to channel. Let's see what your channel looks like. Oh, okay. Hi there. I don't know if you want me to say your name. What's in your channel name? Very good. Well, how do you meet me in town? That's a good question. I don't want to give too much away here. If you go to my website, greengregs.com, which is in severe need of update, it's not been updated in years, not since I moved out here, you'll find my email address. Email me and tell me if you want me to repeat your name. Well, I'll put the email in the chat room in a minute. Just don't everybody abuse it, but since you're local, definitely love to hear from you. Ding, 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 ding. Baby chicken is a chick. Yeah, yeah. I think the little females are pullets. My grandma used to go, rooster, pullet, hen. What did I say it was? Hen? What did I say it was? Rooster, what did I say it was? Hen? Rooster, pullet, hen. You say pullet, should pull your nose. And yeah, too bad the Homeland Security's been shut down. Kitties, yes. I got 3 new kitties. If all planes need parachutes, yeah, they didn't have any parachutes in that plane. That's right. That was one of the things they found. Yep. If they do know who they are, they need to be contained and stopped ASAP. Amen. Why are they not deported? Good question, Mr. Dunham. Why they had a crew of 6, I don't know. Anybody joining late, just catch the rewind. Shaggy or anyone else? Yeah, I'm about to get a sip of coffee here, guys. I'm kind of weepy. It's over 3 o'clock in the morning. Holy smoke. I got to speed this up. We got to go. We've been on board. I started really late. We've been going 85 minutes. That's too long, really. Working on the garden with the kids all week. Yay. Cooking a chicken run. Good move, Cosmic Tripper. Good move. Oh, too many sixes. That may be. Oh, yeah, don't use any F words in here. Guys, adult language is not permitted. This is a family channel. Adult language is not permitted. 12th Imam, Blaze TV claim was live 8 years ago. Supposedly he's down in the well. The I am are pretty good. So I did go to Snowflake. I passed through there today. Well, actually, I went into Wally World in Taylor. Went up to Sholo. Actually, I went to Buffalo Bills. Greg, new element found on Mars. Now I'm going to start adding elements to our tables, though. Let's see. Yeah, some people, if they want to be a troll, they'll come back in a different name. Trolls don't last long on this channel. Rosemary, our time will come. That's why I am here. I'm a naturopath herbalist and iridologist. Hey, I go for herbalism. Yeah, yeah, it does, Arthur. It definitely does look like that. Almost the bottom of the chat now. Yay! Rogue demagogue. Be careful taking potassium if you have a bad kidney. Okay, good advice. I usually get mine with my food, tree nuts, sometimes nanners. I'm a big fan of eating tree nuts. Just here for you, Greg. Well, thank you, Shaggy. 420 somewhere in the world. Well, sailor language. Yeah, what we don't want the sailor language in here. Hey, I was in the Army. Yeah, we had plenty of that language there too. If you spam Greg's email, he'll might make you smoke freeze dried chicken lips. That's it. That's it. All right. Diam07, this is for you. You're a local, so email me. I don't want everybody emailing this. I can't afford it. I can't deal with too many contacts. I get drowned. This is maybe I should put a different email here. So I'm putting it out here. La 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 la. Yeah, I'll put it in. It's been on the net and it's not been spammed too much. There it is. Guys, don't abuse that email because I get people sending me so much stuff. I get 40 hours worth of emails, 40 hours worth of videos sent to me every day. I can't look at all that stuff, guys. I got a day job. I've got a homestead, and I'm trying to run a YouTube channel. I spend a fair bit of my time scanning news, but I got my way of doing that. So don't send me a bunch of videos. I just can't digest it, guys. Uh, so there you are. Now you know how to get hold of me. I should probably delete it. Write it down. I'm going to delete it so somebody won't find it tomorrow, next day. This is for a limited audience. Tell me if you got it. Give me a confirmation. Write it down. Diam or Diarm. I guess that's a RM. Diarm07. Tell me if you got it. I'll go back and delete it. I am still in charge of your Discord channel. Okay. We'll crank that up again one day soon. Got it. All right, very good. Go back up and delete it here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Boom. Boing. Bing, it's gone. Hey, Peppermint Patty. All right, there we are. All righty, folks. If you're local and want to meet me, you might set something up. So there we are. I've met a number of people locally. Very glad to do that. I've even subscribed to your channel there. Alrighty, I got my taxes fixed. Oh man, I got a lot to do. Alrighty, folks, you know what we're gonna do next? Hang on, we got a little game we play here every night. I used to spend a lot of time in the Purgatory back when I was first building this place, when I first started putting in the road and building this place. I didn't have any power out here. So I'd spend half the day in the Purgatory working in my day job. That was late 23. So made a lot of friends there. Was it Purgatory? I don't be guessing yet. Hang on. I gotta say go. I gotta say go. All right. How many eggs I got? Go. How many eggs I got today? How many eggs? How many eggs did I harvest? 4 was a number yesterday, but not today. What's Purgatory? It's a local coffee shop. Whoa, Rogue Demagogue, you got it. Rogue Demagogue got the right guess. Hadn't seen you in here in a long time. Rogue Demagogue got it first. Yes, he got it. 7. The number is 7. Now, of these 7, hang on, don't guess. Let the numbers stop rolling. The numbers have got to stop rolling, and I'll ask the next question. So hold off. No, nobody that's guessed yet is going to get counted. You got to wait till I say go again. All right, numbers have stopped rolling. Of these 7 eggs, how many of them are Easter eggs? Of the 7 eggs, how many are Easter eggs? Now you can go. The last entry was from old as dirt, but that's before I said go. All right, so now go. How many eggs are Easter eggs out of these? 1 Easter. No, keep going. That's what I had yesterday. That would have been the right number yesterday. All right, Brian, you got it. Scout. X10, 3 zeros. It's 2. 2 Easter eggs. 2 Easter eggs. You got it. All right, guys, here it is. Put a light on me. So the light's getting dim. It's these 2 right here. You see them? There they are. There's my eggs today. Yippee, cow patty. Yeah, you can use free range cow patties. Absolutely. They're good because we've been munching on the stuff they're munching on, they don't graze on it. Absolutely. Free range cow patties work. Yippee, cow patty. All righty. She went to get the guy, got her daddy. How that art thou? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. All righty. We got it, folks. We've been on for 94 minutes. I think it's time to say Saranara. It is 3:15 here at AM. So I definitely appreciated everybody being here tonight. I really had to. And I want to give a lot of thanks to Eddie and Carrie. Carrie, for the super chat. Thank you very much. I see she's still in the house. Very good. I'm going to check my phone real quick because sometimes I get donations through PayPal. So I'm going to give credit where credit's due just in case. Look in the email. And I got an email I got to send tonight. Okay, I don't see anything there right now. So, thank you, CC, C5, Carrie, Eddie, and thank you, Mod. You've been busy tonight, especially old as dirt. He's been taking care of business. I want to thank everybody for watching. I really do. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm glad y'all were here. And just remember, I gave a lot of prepper advice in here, things to do. Pay attention now. Keep your gas tank full. I think so. Another day, as Mom said. There you go, guys. Hey, be thankful for every day you got. Praise the Lord. When you start your prayers, start with gratitude in your heart. Praise God first. And that's the way to pray. All right, guys, we got to go. So, have a good night, good day, wherever you are. In honor of our good friend, the late, hey, we got another super chat. Shaggy, thank you. Hey, every little bit helps. Every little bit counts. Thank you very much, Shaggy. Appreciate it. So, to one and all, wherever you are, good night, good day. And in honor of our late great friend, Granny Lana, ho, ho, ho.